Hello, everybody. I have a huge announcement. You may have heard me talk about a secret project I've been working on for the past few months. Today, I am thrilled to announce that that secret project is actually my very first nonfiction writing craft book. I can't wait to release Shut Up and Write the Book, a step-by-step guide to crafting your novel from plan to print. Been repping this shirt for a while, but no one knew there were more goodies to come. A lot of you have been begging for a guide to writing a book, something that breaks down each step in thorough, actionable detail. So I did it! Shut Up and Write the Book is on its way. This book literally takes you through every step of the writing process from the idea phase to the final proofread. By the time you finish reading it, you will have a complete manuscript that's ready for marketing and the publication phase. Be on the lookout for updates. I can't wait to reveal the cover art and, of course, the release date. If you want news about Shut Up and Write the Book before anyone else, be sure to subscribe to my newsletter. They hear everything first. They've actually known about this book for a really long time, so subscribe today. I got it linked below. But in honor of this announcement, I decided to give you a teeny tiny taste of what's in store. Today, I'm breaking down the basic steps of writing a book from start to finish. Consider this the skeleton outline for your book writing formula. Not sure the order of operations? We're covering that right now. You're welcome. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe to my channel and ring that bell. It helps me out so much with the crazy YouTube algorithm. Plus, you gotta subscribe if you want updates about Shut Up and Write the Book. So click the subscribe button, ring the bell, I'll love you for it. I'll be debuting the cover here. I will be announcing ARC reviews as well as pre-sale information. So you definitely want to be subscribed to hear all the goodies. The Savior's Champion and The Savior's Sister are available in ebook, paperback, hardback, and audiobook. So if you want to read some epic dark fantasy romance, definitely check out this award-winning series. They're linked below. And don't worry, just because I'm releasing Shut Up and Write the Book does not mean I have forgotten about the third book in the Savior series, The Savior's Army. The Savior's Army is still very much on its way, so stay tuned for details. Now I am listing the steps to writing a fiction novel from start to finish. Number 1, the idea phase, aka what the hell should I write about? Some people already have a concept they're passionate about. That's why they become a writer in the first place. For others, the desire to become a writer precedes the idea itself. Take some time to figure out what story you want to create. This could be based on industry expectations or marketing trends, but I encourage you to choose the story you want to read. Once you have an idea, make sure you formulate a general plot. This should only be 1 or 2 sentences. It's your plot in its simplest form. For example, the plot of The Savior's Champion is: a guy enters a deadly tournament and falls in love with the wrong woman. Can they escape together, or are they doomed to die at the hands of the tournament? Number 2, planning. You've got an idea? Now it's time to plan your book. I always start with a thought dump, which is where you dump all of your ideas into a digital document, or a notebook if that's what you prefer. These ideas don't have to be in sequential order. We can worry about that later. Just literally write down anything you can think of. Dump it in the document. Settings, characters, plot points, fight scenes, romance, betrayals, streams of dialogue. This is your time to let your creative mind go wild. This is also the time to start diving into other, more detailed parts of the writing process, like character creation or world building. Make sure your characters are multi-dimensional and fleshed out. A great way to do this is by creating character profiles. Be sure to do the same for your world. A world building template is especially helpful if you're creating a brand new world, like a planet or kingdom. But keep in mind, even if your book is set in a real place like New York or San Francisco, there's still going to be a little bit of world building involved. Number 3, outlining. A lot of people swear pantsing is the only way to write a story, but if it worked for everyone, outlines wouldn't exist. Outlining is the process of telling your story in shorthand, either by the snowflake method, bullet points, the skeleton outline, or a multitude of other options. The goal is to take all that planning you did and organize it in sequential, plot-specific order. You are telling the story before you even start writing it, which honestly is so much fun. There are tons of outlining methods. I already named a few, but I personally recommend taking the ideas from your thought dump and breaking them down into individual, simplified plot points. Now take these plot points and organize them in sequential order. Try to find an appropriate flow for the story you want to tell. Think of it like solving a puzzle. You have all of these plot points and you're trying to find the best way they fit together. Once you've done this, you can add details and complexity to your outline if you so desire. You can fill in character descriptions, world building, fight scene maneuvers, conversations, whatever. It's your outline, do you. But starting with a simplified version and adding the details later will make the process a lot less overwhelming. Number 4, the first draft. Now you're embarking on the first draft, aka pumping out a pile of shit. The first draft is called the rough draft for a reason. It's gonna be really, really rough. And you need to accept that right away. When writers expect perfection right out the gate, they come to a standstill. They block their own progress. Don't be one of those writers. Get comfortable with writing some sucky stuff and move on. Pro tip, create long-term and short-term goals in order to make the first draft easier. For long-term goals, aim for the quarterly goal method. That means every 3 months, you're writing a certain number of pages or words. The quarterly goal method works because it's long enough to give you some wiggle room and account for growing pains, but it's short enough to hold you accountable. For short-term goals, take it on a weekly or daily basis and make sure it works specifically for your schedule. This is a great way to stay on target so long as you're not aiming for perfection, remember? That's what the edit is for. Speaking of that, number 5, the self-edit. Some people call this the drafting phase because they like to create an entirely new draft separate from their first draft. I personally don't think this is necessary, especially if you've outlined. The outline allows you to avoid the kind of mistakes that would require a complete rewrite. It's easy to feel overwhelmed during the self-edit, so that's why it's important to focus on things one step at a time. I like to do a read-through of the manuscript while not making any edits. Instead, I focus on highlighting certain kinds of mistakes. For example, all the filler will be highlighted blue, redundancy will be highlighted green, rewrites will be highlighted yellow, character issues will be highlighted in pink. After the read-through, I work from big to small. Start with the big issues like faulty world building, flat characters, and of course, total rewrites. After that, work your way down. Next would be paragraph-based issues like flow and pacing. And finally, we end with the nuts and bolts like sentence structure, grammar, and punctuation. And for the love of God, edit one chapter at a time. Don't focus on the entire novel unless you want to have a panic attack. Instead, tackle it one chapter at a time. It'll make the process way more manageable. Number 6, genre and category. Genre refers to the content of your story, and category refers to the age range of your target audience. Genre would be things like fantasy and sci-fi. Category would be things like young adult and adult. Before you begin, you should probably have an idea of your genre and category, but our writing often grows and evolves as we write. You may realize that your story is better suited for a younger audience, or maybe you're not just writing a fantasy novel, you're writing a sci-fi fantasy novel. That's why I think it's a good idea to reassess your genre and category after the drafting phase. What kind of story have you told, and who are you writing it for? Please keep in mind that books can be multi-genre, but 2, maybe 3 genres should be sufficient. And definitely don't forget about subgenres. Be sure to research them so you select the correct ones. Number 7, the title. Once again, sometimes writers know the title of the story before they even begin the writing process. Other times they have absolutely no idea what to title their book and need all the help they can get. If that's the case, save your title decision for after the drafting phase. While you're self-editing, pay attention to key phrases and themes. Would any of them work for the title? It's also important to make sure your title is appropriate for your genre and category, which means you really gotta pay attention to other books within your market. And of course, make sure you don't choose a title that's already been taken by another popular piece of media, whether that's another book or a video game or a TV show. If a very, very popular piece of media has the same title as your book, that means whenever people Google that title, they're gonna get that piece of media, not your book. You'd be shooting yourself in the foot. Number 8, a little help from your friends. It's really important to recruit outside help throughout the writing process, namely critique partners, beta readers, and sometimes sensitivity readers. A critique partner is a fellow writer who reads through your manuscript and offers critiques. As the name suggests, they usually leave comments and edits in the document itself, and they may write some kind of summary at the end of the document explaining the places that you need to focus your attention. You can recruit critique partners during any phase of the writing process. You can do it during the first draft, the self-edit. I even know people who have their critique partners read their outlines. The point is, you gotta do it at some point because critique partners are going to show you the mistakes that you are blind to. Next, we have beta readers, who are readers who give their overall impression of your story. They don't have to be writers. In fact, most of them usually aren't. They're here to give the reader's perspective. Was your story entertaining? Did they like the characters? Hell, did your scenes even make sense? And most importantly, they let you know if they want to continue reading. In my opinion, it's best to recruit beta readers after you've self-edited your novel, but before you've hired a professional editor. That way your readers are getting a relatively clean version of your story, but if they offer suggestions that require total rewrites, you're not wasting your money. Lastly, we have sensitivity readers. These are professionals that you hire to make sure your writing isn't perpetuating any offensive or inappropriate stereotypes. Not every story requires a sensitivity reader, but if you're writing about a marginalized group you do not belong to, or you're writing about a super sensitive topic, then it's probably a good idea to have a sensitivity reader in your team. Similar to with beta readers, I personally recommend enlisting a sensitivity reader before the professional edit, but after the self-edit. Which brings us to number 9, the professional edit. This is the step most writers dread or even skip altogether, but it is so necessary. The professional edit is when you hire a professional editor to polish your manuscript to a shine. There are 4 types of edits you should look into, and you want to go through them in this exact order. First, we look at the developmental edit, which is where we go through your manuscript on a story basis. This means we're looking at plot, world building, characters, and so on. Next, we have the line edit, which is where we look at your story on a paragraph level. We're talking about pacing, flow, repetition, and sentence structure. Third, we have the copy edit, which is where we look at your story on a sentence and word basis. We're talking good old grammar and punctuation. Lastly, we have the proofread, which is a final check of your manuscript just to make sure there aren't any lingering tiny errors, like a typo here or a missing comma there. I cannot emphasize this enough. You can't skip the professional edit. It's imperative to the writing process, and it'll turn your manuscript into a real novel. And lastly, number 10, the end product. Sometimes writers struggle to determine when their novel is done. They want to keep picking at it and never release it. I know you want to make your story perfect, but no story is perfect. And that's because perfection is subjective. Art is subjective. Fortunately, there are a few key tells that let you know your book is done. For starters, if you've read the story so many times that you're sick of it, you're at the very least nearing completion. If you've proofread the story multiple times and find no lingering errors, you're probably done. This is assuming you've already hired a professional proofreader, of course. Which brings us to an obvious point. Ask your editor. That's what they're there for. If they tell you the story's done, they're probably right. And just like that, you have a finished novel. I am so proud of you. Now you can switch gears to marketing and publishing because the writing process is done. So that's all I got for you today. Those are the basic steps to the writing process, but trust me, there are so many more steps to consider. And wouldn't you know it, I cover all of it in Shut Up and Write the Book. My book talks about out how to structure your novel, how to create three-dimensional characters and vast worlds. It helps you decide between past and present tense, as well as first-person or third-person point of view. It covers how to pace your novel, how to appropriately weave subplots into your plot, and how to avoid the dreaded saggy middle syndrome so people actually finish your book. And of course, I walk you through every step of the editing process, including the most common mistakes that writers make so you can avoid them ahead of time. All of this is in Shut Up and Write the Book, and so much more. In fact, you can find all of this information in my upcoming writing craft book, I Left No Stone Unturned. My goal was to create a one-stop shop for the writing process and to make it as easy and straightforward as possible. I really hope you enjoy the book because I cannot wait to release it. Be on the lookout for updates. I have a cover reveal right around the corner. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I post new videos on Wednesdays, and if you want to be alerted as soon as I upload, ring that bell. The Savior's Champion and The Savior's Sister are available in ebook, paperback, hardback, and audiobook, so if you like yourself some dark fantasy romance with lots of stabbing and murder and love and seduction, definitely check it out. I've got them links below. And be sure to follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram, Tumblr, Facebook, and BookBub. And of course, you can tweet me at Jenna Moreci. Bye!
Oh, hello there. I'm Layla, and I'm off to a meeting with a senator. While you're here, why don't you subscribe to Jenna's channel and ring the bell? That way you'll always know when her videos go live. It's the perfect distraction. I mean, entertainment. Well, off I go. Ignore the blade. It's just for show. Bye!